Welcome to Coaching Uncut, a special series on the Unstoppable Woman podcast, where I take you behind the scenes and give you a peek into the private coaching I do with my clients. All of these coaching calls have been recorded with the permission from my clients who have generously allowed me to share these with you as a way of helping more people in this world. They give you access to master level coaching and the opportunity to learn the lessons that they're learning right along with them. Please keep in mind that these recordings are not studio productions and the audio quality may be less than ideal, but the content will take you far and help you become unstoppable. With that, listen in and learn.
Okay. How are you?
I'm good.
Excellent. I love hearing that.
I'm laughing because somehow I missed on, I've got multiple calendars. Anyway, I still had on my calendar, I think, a meeting that got changed from yesterday, like late in the afternoon for you and me. So there I was, like, I did my homework dutifully,
Great.
waiting for the call. And then
Isn't that interesting, though, like the urgency, like deadlines and whatnot? Like, if you set your own deadlines earlier, right?
I know. And I was like, okay, I'm here. I'm ready.
Yeah.
She's not here. Then I was like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe today's not happening. Oh, it's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Anyway, so all good. Just sort of silly. But on that, I had jotted down, I thought part of the homework was, or all of the homework was, thinking of various people that I know in my midst where they radiate that, uber confidence. And with them in mind, what are the behavioral indicators or sort of the energetics, like how am I picking up what's indicating to me that they're radiating confidence?
Correct.
And so the things that I came up with are things they include: assert without apology and or disclaimers. They don't explain themselves or feel the need to explain themselves. They don't ever self-negate. They're non-defensive. No apologies. I don't mean like they don't apologize if they really have something to apologize for. You know what I mean.
I do. But let's get a little clearer. What is no apology? Is it no apology for being themselves, for speaking their truth? What is it?
I think it is.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm jotting that down. Deliberate movement. Like I was thinking of the kinesthetics of it. Like the way they walk into a room is calm and unhurried, exuding a sense that others will wait for them and that there's no need to rush. Anyway, and then I wrote down in parentheses, that's for peasants.
Oh, that's funny.
That hit me. There's no need to rush. That's for peasants. I kept getting this feeling around, like, regal, the carriage that people have that just signals that they're sort of above the fray.
I think it also signals that they are unafraid, right?
Yes.
Like, let's talk. I think this is interesting. I've never had that frame on it before, but I don't disagree, and I think it's kind of brilliant. So, but I think, like, when I hear you say that, what comes to my mind is that peasants they don't have power.
Yes.
They don't have financial power. They don't have power to choose over their lives. Everything feels like it's happening to them, as opposed to them being someone who can affect change, right? That can really have agency over their life. They have a landlord, if you will, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the true sense of that word, right? Whether they're sharecroppers or just working the land for someone else. This is a different way of being. Okay.
It's interesting too, that, phrase, which that's for peasants. I almost didn't write it down. And then I said, no, I'm going to write it because it made me laugh when I said it, but it just dropped in. Like, that's not something I run around saying. So it's just interesting.
Well, there's some truth to it. And I think it's, I'm glad you wrote it down and that we're talking about it. Because I think there's more than just, how do I say it?
That's an amusing way to articulate it.
Correct. I think there's a lot of real power in it around this idea that if you don't have control over the money flow, you're always going to be in scarcity. And you're going to walk into a room that, well, how does that translate? That translates into always being afraid. And in your speaking and in your, your how you carry yourself, you will show up that way as well.
Right. Not completely.
So I think that's a big one.
It is
a very big one.
Some other ones that I had. There's a lot of repetition here, but I said it's clear that they don't need you to like them. And then I said to myself, and I jotted down, but how is that clear? Like, what is it? And I was trying to visualize people, and I had difficulty boiling it down to some sort of behavioral, because it's not necessarily something that's spoken overtly. It's not like, I don't really need you to like me. I guess it's more just, I don't know, it feels circular. It's like when you're confident, you're confident.
Again, here's the thing.
Unafraid of the judgment.
Correct. That's the key piece. And what makes someone unafraid of the judgment? They have to know deeply that they can take care of themselves.
Yes.
Emotionally, physically, financially. And, most people confuse the idea of, I really love my husband, wife, partner, daughter, whatever it is, the individual, with the larger concept. Okay, let me explain what I mean here. If, God forbid, died, you would have grief, but you would survive. Your subconscious doesn't think so. And in fact, kind of discrediting what I just said, many people who have been married for years and years, when one partner dies, the other passes away soon thereafter. It's a very odd phenomenon. But your survival is not based on being alive. And yet you think that. So you show up contorting yourself, if you will, to please in some fashion, right? Not picking fights, compromising on things you don't really want to compromise on, not bringing up the this or the that. And then that happens on an individual level. But then what happens when you take that and you're confused on a much more global level? Well, you stop having sales calls that work because you think each person is the individual who's going to bring you security. But really it's not. It's you need people. You can't survive without people. Money comes from spirit source
through people.
But it's not an individual person. That you're dependent on. You might really love your husband and not want him to die. Totally get that, right?
But my future, including my very survival, is not dependent on any one other person.
Correct.
No matter
And
how
so
much
but the
attachment to them, but yeah.
Right. So when the person that walks into the room has a sense of confidence there, right? About like, I don't really need you. That's because they have a higher level of, whether they're aware of this or not, right? The intellectual concepts of it. Yeah. They have a higher level of knowing that they will actually survive whether you like them or not, whether you agree with them or not, whether you accept them or not. They get that on a visceral level.
Right. And I get that when we talk about survival, I understand why we're using that term, because if you peel back every single layer of the onion, ultimately gets down to, is this going to kill me or not? What I'm consciously aware of, in the present moment around will these people like me or not, is not just like, will I survive? Because I'm like, oh, I know I'll survive if they don't like me, but am I going to thrive? Like, there's always this thing of, quote, these other people outside of me are the ones who are going to determine whether or not I'm able to have abundance in my life in all forms and make a shit ton of money so that I can enjoy all the things that I want. That control is somehow with other people versus.
I get that. I think that that's a valid and very interesting point, but you are no longer a peasant. You are someone who has a beautiful apartment on the Upper East Side. West Side? East Side? Did I get it right? West Side. Right? You have this beautiful space that this is no longer, your level is no longer hand to mouth. Right. Your level of, the equivalent of survival for you is a house in the Hamptons. Okay?
Right. I see what you're saying.
So you just have to adjust the baseline, but it's the same principle at play.
Right. All right. I got what you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh, here's the other thing I just want to make sure I mention, because I had a bunch of stuff on the list. I think this, I wrote down engaged, attentive facial expression, yet a poker face. Now, this ranges depending on the person I'm talking about. Like, I don't experience you as having, like, a poker face all the time.
Sometimes I do, though. I was just going to say, that's very astute of you. Sometimes I do. Right? Like, I can sit in the living room session or the VIP session and just listen. Right?
Yes. No, it's true. And that poker face, I'm going to just use that as the signifying abbreviation here. That is the thing that bedevils me like no other. And it gets back to the whole, maybe it's because it comes back down to judgment, because I get crazy not knowing where this other person
that's because
what they're thinking.
That's because you think that your survival comes, or your thrival, if you will, comes through them. Okay.
I like it.
I just made that up.
Thrival, no, that's a good one. So it all boils down to that.
Really, pretty much,
one of these things.
Yep.
Oh, and along the same lines, people who are, they keep their cards close to their vest. They don't overshare. I feel like, it's that whole, like, keep them guessing thing. I mean, it's a little bit of, like, a power game. And I've always, and again, Amira, truly, like, I'm not saying this to be nice. I don't see all of this with you. Like, I don't see you being, like, abusive of it. There's a range here with people. Some people are, like, overtly leveraging control of information and whatnot and keeping
100%.
others second guessing, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't see that with you. I'm trying to find, getting back to identity, like, which element of that do I want to take on, and how do I integrate it with other parts of myself that I value very much, like being open, being authentic, not, playing power games. But there is a time for them, right? So I need to mull on that a bit more, but I just wanted to get that in.
I think it's worth mulling on. I think that part of this is about discernment, okay? That I tend to be, if you look at the truth of who I am, I'm like a little Tigger, okay? I want to share everything with everyone, okay? Like I'm super excited about life and that sort of unabashed exuberance.
It's beautiful.
And yet it's beautiful, right? And
yeah.
I also know that doesn't always serve my clients or my business. And it doesn't mean that I then become someone I'm not, but I discern when to share that and when not to. And also accepting that there are multiple sides to your personality. Okay? Like I am Tigger, but I'm also super serious, right?
Yeah.
Like and that's not me. And very agile in terms of switching. I can go from laughing to what the in a split second, right?
Yeah. But I think you've made the key, if I can just interject, the key point is that discernment and choice. Because Correct. Even if I think of like some other folks, like she can be, it's not about being mean, but she can, she turns it on depending on the context, and she's right to do so. So like when we were out to dinner with the team last week and enjoying some drinks and having laughs and letting our hair down, like, she's highly engaging, lets her hair down, real, whatever, like, you want to hang out with her, you want to talk to her. But she can also be the very, just give me the facts, and ask the tough questions. And the thing is, I know I can too. So then I come full circle, and I realize we're over time, but we'll pick this up again. And then I come full circle too, so then, maybe it's not a problem, but why do I'm capable of all these things, and I even do them. And if I was to go out and ask a bunch of people, some people would describe their experience as being different than what I'm feeling internally. You know what I mean? But why do I go into these comparison to others who seem that much stronger than me?
I think you're asking the wrong question. I think you're asking the wrong question. Okay? Instead of asking yourself, why am I doing this? Ask a better question. How do I change this behavior?
Yeah.
That's a much better question. And when you answer that, which we've had conversations about, so you have the answers to this, through your own self-knowledge and through our conversations. When you answer that and then you execute on that, you'll be in a much better place. You're just asking the wrong question. Stop asking that question, ask a better question.
All right.
Okay. Awesome.
I will go forth. All right. Bye.
Okay.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us for Coaching Uncut. If you loved what you learned today, please leave us a comment and let us know. We always love a thumbs up or a 5-star review, so thank you in advance for that. And if you want to take your life and your business to the next level and it's time to scale, please reach out to us and schedule a consult at theunstoppablewoman.com/next level. So that's theunstoppablewoman.com/next level. See you in the next episode. Rock it out and be unstoppable.